Hello then, thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Kukumlimli. Digital address GA0992539. Our top stories this hour. Minority in Parliament demands further information about the controversial Ejapa royalties agreement as it describes the process as opaque, unconstitutional and executed with indecent speed. We are live in Parliament for the details as hashtag drop the Ejapa deal emerges. Also coming up, less than 40 days to reopening of schools after several months of closure. We focus on the partial suspension of the academic calendar and the partial reopening of schools as we put the spotlight on voices of parents and teachers. We want to see and hear you on our screens today. So join us on Zoom this afternoon. It's all about your voice as a parent or teacher. President Akufo-Addo cuts short for a 10.5-kilometer Sokode-Adaklu bypass and UHA's internal road contractors First Sky are to complete this in 24 months. We have details of all these stories and more. Join us on DSTV. We're on 421, GoTV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube also. Join us with your thoughts, opinions, questions on 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome to the show. I'll take you through the details. The Ghana Education Service says all pupils will be promoted to the next class when schools resume for all classes in January 2021. Now, that explanation by the service comes as some school heads have raised concerns about the academic calendar. President Akufo-Addo announced the resumption of classes for JHS2 and SHS2 pupils in October next month. Pupils from kindergarten to JHS1, however, will be staying at home till next year. Now, parents, teachers, guardians, what are your thoughts on this? How do you even understand it? What do you make of it? Join us via Zoom and take a look at the link at the bottom of your screen and let your voices be heard. Before that, though, Deputy Director General in charge of Management Services at the GES, Anthony Balfour, says preparations are being made to make up for the lost time whilst the students stay at home. He spoke to us on the AM show. Mama V. Owusu-Abuaje had that conversation with him.
At some of the discussions at the committee you referred to level, this issue of private schools and their teachers came up for discussion. Yes, so we do appreciate those concerns and we are equally as worried because they are all Ghanaians and they all need to survive. So we are very much concerned about that. On the issue of the allegation that we are adding one more year, I can say for now, no, we are not thinking of adding another year. What we are thinking of now is how do we complete the academic year, which has been adversely affected by COVID-19. Now, probably let me explain something. Our recommendation to the president on the SHS2, SHS1, fundamentally, we will have wished that the schools did not go back until January, fundamentally.
All the schools, including?
All the everybody.
Okay.
But we felt that then we looked at the impact assessment and realized that those in JHS2 will be moving to their final year next time. Those in SHS2 will be moving to their final year next time. Now, the impact on them will be severer. So we should find a way for them to complete their academic year. And that is why it was agreed that they could do the third term, as it were, even though we cannot even have the full complement of the period. But they could do the third term so that we could reduce the amount of adverse impact they will have when they move into their final year. Now, let me explain why KG especially KG1 to, let's say, P3, you cannot go to school. Their curriculum, as under this standard-based curriculum, is to be taught primarily through play. In fact, their sitting arrangement, their interaction in the classroom, whatever they do is revolving around play and interaction.
And that's contact.
And that's contact. And under COVID-19, the primary role that everybody should be is expected to play now is to keep social distancing. That is why we are not even allowing several activities like sporting, like culture. So it was going to be very difficult to teach these children minus play.
So that's the Deputy Director General in charge of Management Services at the Ghana Education Service, Anthony Bafo, with that explanation there. I'm joined right now by Communications Director for the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana, Adukwe Ayikwe Awole. Hi, sir. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you for your time. Ms. Adukwe, can you hear me? Okay, looks like he's having a hard time hearing me. Let's see if we can readjust that and get him. He is Adukwe Ayikwe Awole. He speaks for the Concerned Teachers Association, and we want to find out what their thoughts are. As you know, a lot of private schools are reeling under this particular dispensation with the closure of the schools, so they don't have access to any sort of government funding as against what the public institutions have. Yesterday we spoke to them and they told us the concerns that they have. They say some schools take as low as 30 cedis with which they pay their staff and take care of the school. Without that, it looks like some of the teachers are getting really agitated. So that's what we want the conversation we want to continue. This time we're looking at the angle of parents and teachers. But as you heard the Ghana Education explain, there is going to be an automatic promotion, which the private teachers yesterday who we spoke to said. Automatic promotion, what does it mean? What does a group like the Concerned Teachers make of this? Let's hear from concerned parents that we've been speaking to on the streets of Accra. When we come, we'll try and link up with Mr. Adukwe and hear their thoughts on this as well.
If you allow these kids to go to school early, we don't know what will happen. The virus can escalate. It can spread quickly through the kids, though we have low rate of it going or maybe attacking the kids. But then I think we should not risk by asking the kids to go back to school this year. It's better they go in January. By that time, everything has been lowered. So I believe it's in order because the borders will surely be opened tomorrow. And when it's open, we do not know whether the virus will escalate because of the people that will be coming. So we cannot risk our kids going back to the classrooms. What Nanado has done is perfect. The SS2 and the GSS2 kids will go back. That would be like a rehearsal, a dress rehearsal for us to see how it will be like. Some motive mu frank totofi wa no mo course aje no okwa say okwa eden okwa hwe enti me de ya yale na nkanka na akufa do no nka se mu fran ntena fi enti saje no no eye sani na na kan de ye mpanifo se sabi akokorabo fo se na tena fi ma se duafo.
So those were some parents. You heard them yesterday. We thought to bring that in as a reminder as we get up and get ready for you to join us on Zoom wherever you are in your home. We want your voices to be heard so that the authorities will know how you feel about this. If you have any suggestions, you can put them through as well. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty, and up here. I'm going to take a very quick break. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. But we're going back to our conversation about the education and about the reopening, partial reopening of schools. You want to join us on Zoom. The ID is 97955032190. And also passcode, if you want to click on the link, just follow the passcode, is 024949. Well, let's hear from the ranking member on Parliament's Education Committee, Peter Nochu-Kuto, who joins me via Zoom. Hello, sir. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Mr. Nochu, can you hear me? It looks like you're on mute, so if you can unmute for me, then we can all hear you. At this point, we can't hear you. Hello, Mr. Nochu-Kuto, can you hear me? Okay, it looks like the internet isn't being very friendly with us. We'll see how we have that Zoom conversation, very important conversation. We will have it. We surely will have it. So some people are going to school in October, which is next month. Some are going to school in January, which is 2021, next year. What it means, and our understanding is that that part of the academic calendar seems to be suspended. That's the understanding we have at this point. Let's try and get the committee again and find out what they think, what they make of this. Hi, Mr. Nochu, can you hear me? Great, I do see you, but you need to, right, I hear you now. I hear you now, so we're good to go. I like to believe that the committee has been discussing this matter. Have you?
Thank you very much. The committee has not been involved in this matter all this while. Can you hear me?
I do hear you perfectly. Please go ahead.
Yeah, the committee has not been involved in the discussions as to the reopening of schools. So we also hear the instructions, announcements as made by the president.
Okay, and don't you? Yeah. Is the committee not represented on the other committee that's looking into this matter, even before President Akufo-Addo made that announcement?
Not as much as I know, because the committee that was formed, the Parliament was not represented on it, as far as I know. No, the committee wasn't involved. Yeah.
I see. And so at your level, you have not had any conversation at all, even after President Akufo-Addo's announcement on Sunday?
No, you know, Parliament is now on recess. Yeah, so it will be difficult, even if there's any information to that effect, to convene a meeting of members.
I mean, not necessarily even a meeting, but to have, you know, some kind of general conversation, because I want to have the general idea of what committee members think of this particular instruction or announcement.
Actually, when the Minister for Education came to brief Parliament 2 weeks before recess on what the government has been doing so far in education, we reminded him that he should have ended his statement by assuring Ghanaians when schools will reopen, because that's what Ghanaians were expecting. So a week later, that committee was formed to look into the modalities for the reopening of schools. And we also even said over there that as a minority, we will prefer a staggered reopening of schools, because if you look at what happened when the third year senior high school students went back to school to write examinations, we realized that the planning was not very effective. So we would prefer a staggered one. And I'm sure this is what the president has announced. But in actual fact, we are looking forward that before the 5th of October, enough preparations will be made so that the lapses that we encountered when the senior high, the former students were going back to school, we don't repeat.
Okay, we'll get to talk about that. I believe that has to do with the COVID-19 protocols. But I just want to find out what it means from what the experts we've spoken to, say, or people within the sector have said, is that there is a partial suspension of of the academic calendar. What it means is that students, and we heard from the GES today that students there's going to be some sort of automatic promotion next year. Does that sound okay for you?
Yes, we mentioned also that the academic year must be considered ended by yesterday, which is 31st August. The academic year had ended. So whatever they stopped, that constituted the end of the academic year. So anything from September will be a new academic year, and that is okay with us.
Okay. And shouldn't they have, because there hasn't been any sort of assessment to move them from one stage to the other, shouldn't they have just been made to, say, repeat the particular level?
Yeah. So what we mean to make sure that they cover all the.
Okay, if I hear you right, I think you said what we need to do is to make sure that they cover all the syllabi within that period.
Exactly so. That's what they should be aiming at doing.
Okay. In terms of the COVID-19 protocols, exactly what are your expectations and what do you know has been done so far?
Yeah, we experienced a late supply of PPEs. When the senior high school project, the third-year students were coming back to school. So we will expect that this time there wouldn't be any delay. And then they must make sure that all the equipment is supplied in time, so that as soon as they reopen, then there will not be any lack of PPEs in the school for both teachers and students to use. So I think that is what is important for them. And then where possible, testing equipment should be made available at certain locations where whenever there is any suspected case, they can quickly call on the health officials to come and carry out the test for the students.
Have you had any feedback to the effect that people find the president's announcement a little confusing?
Well, it is only the private school proprietors who have made some complaints that they are not being factored into schemes of affairs, as well as teachers, teacher unions, who are also saying that they have never been consulted, at least in making sure that their inputs are taken on board for the effective reopening of schools, because teachers are stakeholders who must be consulted as many times as possible to make sure that the reopening is very smooth. They know what to do and what not to do to help the teachers and then the students as well. So there's a need for consultation.
Yeah, there's a need for consultation. Don't you think it's a bit too late at this point, because an announcement has been made? In fact, the private teachers, again, the private school teachers, private school association indicated yesterday that they were shocked that President Akufo-Addo added that to his address on Sunday, because the committee working on it was suspected to finish the work by 20th of this month. So they were a bit shocked to hear President Akufo-Addo make that announcement.
Yeah, everybody was taken aback, especially when a committee has been put in place just a little over a week ago to come out with the modalities. And we complained also about the composition of that committee, because teacher unions and then the educational workers unions were not taken on board. And these are very, very important stakeholders. And we made that known to the Minister for Education, that fine, putting a committee in place is good, but the composition was not wide enough, because we must listen to these major stakeholders. And I think that is what was late. So we were expecting that if we hear anything at all, it will be getting to the end of September. But all the same, once the announcement has been made, we are saying that put in place all the necessary measures to make sure that when they go back, we don't experience what happened when the final year students of the SHS went back to school to prepare for their examinations.
Does the minority in Parliament have any plans to push for some sort of cushioning for the private schools or for the private school teachers? Some of them are like, reeling. They say they don't have, they can't pay their staff. The staff themselves are getting very agitated. Yesterday when I spoke to the association, they said the staff, some of them are even planning on demonstrating, etc. Is the minority in Parliament or on this particular committee looking at pushing for any sort of support, government support for groups like that?
You know that for the private schools, they rely solely on fees paid by parents on behalf of their wards in their various schools. So when school is not in session, there's no means by which they can get money to pay salaries. So it is rather unfortunate that since March, that's the middle of March up to today, there's no income for these schools to enable them pay the teachers and then the additional staff that help them in the management of the school. I was expecting that the COVID-19 stimulus package, private schools should have been taken on board as well, so that they can cushion them and meet them maybe halfway, so that the proprietors can also probably get some money paid to their staff. Because since March, they have not been paid salaries, and how they are living, how they are able to survive, I'm sure it's just by the grace of God. So I expected that National Board for Small-Scale Industries, with the money given them, they could have taken care of private schools as well. And then the Ministry of Education can also have a package for them to support them in a way so that they will be able to have some sorts of income. So we will continue as a minority to talk on their behalf. We have said it 1 or 2 times already, and I hope that government is listening to the plight of the private school owners.
Mr. Nochukuto, thank you so much for your time for this afternoon. Peter Nochukuto there, he's a ranking on the Education Committee in Parliament. We're still going to start our Zoom conversation, but I have Angel Kabono, who is the NAT president. He joins me right now via Zoom. Nagrat, I beg your pardon. Mr. Kabono, thank you for your time this afternoon. I almost misplaced you.
Thank you very much. I was going to surcharge you for that mistake, but you are forgiven.
Thank you. Okay, so let's say I'm imagining you sitting behind your television on Sunday, listening to the president talk about opening up of the borders, and then all of a sudden, that if you didn't know already, it comes up that he's talking about reopening of schools. What thoughts were going through your mind at that time?
Well, I'm sure the advisors of the president advised him based on information available to them. The fact is that both parents, students, and teachers are all reeling under the abnormal times that we find ourselves. When COVID-19 came, we all thought that by now we would have seen the end of COVID-19. I was monitoring foreign media, and I realized that the numbers are still surging up in those other countries and so on and so forth. So we are in a time that decision making is a very difficult thing to take.
Right. So were you expecting that President Akufo-Addo will announce the reopening or partial reopening of schools on Sunday when he did? And given that there is a committee that's supposed to, finish its work by the 20th of this month?
Yes, that is also something that surprised us, because we had the announcement of the committee that was formed by the Minister of Education. To our surprise and disappointment, the unions were not part of that committee, but that is not a problem. We were thinking that the committee report, the draft report of the committee, maybe will be subjected to wider discussion. That also was not the case. So maybe the
I've lost your sound, Mr. Kabano. Looks
Hello,
like you hit the unmute button. I hear you now. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. I hear you perfectly. From the point,
Hello?
yes. Can you hear me? If you do, please go ahead. I can hear you, and I heard you up to the point where you said you were hoping that the committee's report will be subjected to, you know, a broader conversation by the stakeholders. Please continue from there. Okay, am I getting lucky? Looks like I'm not. Let's see if we can try that again. Mr. Kabanu, are you there? Do you hear me? I hear you okay now, by the way.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I do hear you perfectly. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I think maybe the committee might have fast-tracked its work and present their report to the president. We do not know. But as I'm saying, that the decision has been taken, and we'll see how we can handle it as we go forward.
Okay, and that's actually the focus of my next question. Handling it as we go forward. Now we know that it looks as if a part of the calendar for this year has been suspended, because from kindergarten to JHS1, they're going to school next year. And then we have SHS2 and JHS2 pupils who are going back, students who are going back to school to continue. What arrangements have been made? I mean, what's in this? What can you share with us as far as what's in this from your perspective as an educationist?
We expect that in the first place, the various PPEs will be available in the schools, and the PPEs will be adequate and enough to go around the number of days that the students will be in school. We expect that decisions will be taken to decongest classrooms and dormitories as much as possible. We expect that effective health units are assigned to each school, so that if there is any case, the schools will quickly contact those health units for remedies to be applied. And then we also expect that teachers will be motivated to go the extra mile in these difficult times. Now, the second thing specific to teaching and learning is that the general syllabus is there. We all do know that when a student comes to Form 1, by the end of his course in Form 3, the student is supposed to know A, B, C, D to prepare the student to write the exams. So for the teachers, they knew where they left off and they knew where to take off. So that will not be too much of a problem for teachers.
Okay. But for the students?
The students, you see, there are some students, and I noticed that from the Form 3s who were in school recently, who were in a state of apprehension and fear during the time that they were in school. Luckily, most of them are finishing. A batch, I understand, is going to finish their exams today. By the close of next week, they'll finish their exams. But people were in uncertain times, and it psychologically affects the frame of mind needed for teaching and learning to take place.
I see. I have a statement here from the teacher unions, press statement from the teacher unions, in which it says NAT, NAGRAT and CCTGH is giving government, I think, 15th September ultimatum for government to pay teachers, for the affected teachers to be paid, or we have no alternative than to advise ourselves. I'll go through the statement a bit later. You are aware of this, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay, tell us a bit more about it, sir.
3 months ago, the names of 14,358 or so teachers have had their names deleted from the payroll. And we checked and realized that it is based on the advice given by the audit service that these teachers are non-existent and they are termed in inverted commas as ghost teachers. We realized that the audit service did not do further verification with the various unit heads to know whether truly these teachers were in the schools or not. And as we speak, The teachers are teaching, they are in the schools, they are teaching, they are doing their work normally, but their names have been taken off payroll for the past 3 months as we speak. We thought that by this August salary, those teachers will be paid. We have realized that the teachers have still not been paid this August. So those teachers are very, very unfortunately being punished for something that they have not done. If the people were ghosts, how come that you take their names off payroll, the people complain? So we feel that this is injustice for those teachers, and we expect government to quickly develop a supplementary payroll quickly and pay them by the 15th of September with all the 3 months arrears.
And if they don't?
Or if they don't, the unions will have to advise themselves, because we don't see any justification that audit service will carry an exercise and will not resort to the various management services and the various unit heads before they implement the outcome of the exercise.
Have your engagements, given you any indications that what you are demanding will be done?
We went to the Ghana Education Service a fortnight ago, and we raised concerns on this matter. Management indicated to us that they have identified the anomaly and that the people will be paid. And we thought that August, the people will be paid this August.
Okay, well, August has ended, where we've just started September. So I'm hoping that you hear.
That's why we have been very rational and have given 15th September, those teachers have to be paid.
Okay. Mr. Kabonu, I say a very big thanks to you, and hopefully we'll hear good news from your side about teachers that are not being paid. Coronavirus has not been very charitable at all, I must say. But do you have any of the private teachers as part of your membership?
No. You see, the private schools themselves sometimes are very scared in allowing their teachers to be unionized. But these are the reasons why you allow people to get unionized, so that when they are in trouble like this, the union will fight for them. But the management of the private schools are so scared to allow their teachers to be unionized.
Mr. Kabonu, thank you once again. Angel Kabonu is president of NAGRAS, and they are demanding that by 15th of September this year, or next month, this month, that government would have paid some 14,345 teachers and workers in the Ghana Education Service who they say have had their names deleted from the payroll. They're demanding that the Finance Ministry sets up a supplementary budget to be able to pay these people who have been whose names have been removed. We'll still hang on with our conversation with you, parents, teachers, on the reopening, partial reopening of the schools. I'll take it to Parliament. Minority MPs on Parliament's Public Accounts Committee are questioning the basis for which the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation donated about 5 million Ghana cedis to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Rebecca Foundation, or Chihine, among others, in the name of corporate social responsibility. At today's public sitting of the committee, Ningo Prampram MP Samuel George produced a 29th October 2019 letter from GNPC's board secretary Matilda Ohene to the CEO, communicating the board's approval of the donations and sponsorships. 400,000 cedis of the amount is to support preparation for the Damba Festival, 300,000 cedis to the 20th anniversary celebration of the Ochehene, 1.5 million Ghana cedis to the Ochehene's Environment and Greening Project, and 550,000 cedis to Iyoko. 120,000 cedis went to the Rebecca Foundation. Rebecca Foundation is the First Lady's Foundation, and $30,000 to the Ghana Boxing Association, some 50,000 cedis to the Ghana Journalists Association. GNPC Deputy CEO Joseph Dazi told the committee he did not have the full details of the issue, as it is the GNPC Foundation which runs such sponsorship and donation activities. That prompted Chairman of the PAC, James Aveji, to question the GNPC board on why they approved the donations instead of the GNPC Foundation's Board of Trustees. Let's get to Parliament and speak to Joseph Opoku Gapo, our correspondent on the ground for us. Hello, Joseph. Right, we can hear from Mr. Aveji on that right now.
Usually when we are sitting, we don't need his presence personally, but we need his representative, who is the person of Mr. Duku. And Mr. Duku has been here, and today was present with his team. So once the rep of the Auditor General is here, it is assumed the Auditor General is here. So the physical presence of
Mr. Dumalovo will not
affect the work of the committee.
But we know you've had concerns about him being on leave. Do those concerns still stand, even after the back and forth between himself and the presidency and his office?
Yeah, we have those concerns. We think that the Auditor General is not supposed, or his work is not supposed to be interfered by anybody. But that is an issue which is in court, so we might not comment much on it. Let's wait for the outcome of the proceedings of the court. But that is our position, that the Auditor General's work need not to be interfered by anybody.
And for you, what the presidency did by asking him to go on leave amounts to an interference?
I've said it severally, but it is wrong for the president to do that. As we said, there is nothing in our record that should talk about accumulated leave, and then also, even if there is anything like that, interfering, asking the Auditor General to proceed on leave amounts to interfering in his work. But the provision of the Constitution was clear. The Auditor General should not be interfered in the conduct of his work by any institution or anybody. And so that is something that we are standing on.
And you remain confident that the court will uphold this position?
Yeah, we think so. We pray that the court listen, look at the proceedings and look at the provision of the Constitution and then rule in favor of the Auditor General.
What more can we expect from the sitting of the PAC in the days ahead?
We are expecting a total of about 49 public boards and corporations. So today we have had only 4 of them, or 5 of them. So which means that the remaining 10 days we are going to deal with over 40. So we believe strongly that by the time we finish, we would have covered the 2017 report of the Auditor General.
Finally, today's sitting, there was more like the verbal misunderstanding, between the acting CEO of the GNPC and Mr. Sam George.
He's not acting CEO of GNPC. He's a deputy CEO of GNPC, and I do not think that there is a misunderstanding. His position, the deputy CEO's position, is that the public interest question being asked by Sam George, he hasn't got sufficient information, and therefore he cannot respond to those issues, which I agree with him, because it's public interest question is not covered by the court. And the practice of our committee is that we always allow public interest questions to be asked. Questions that are ranging in the public domain, and once we have the opportunity of meeting the institution or the organization concerned, we ask for clarification. And in this case, he has no sufficient information to give, and that is why.
James Klucha-Veji there. Let's hear from the ranking member on the committee, Kofi Otrejekum. He says the minority is pursuing political mischief.
It was not, it's unfortunate, it was not the appropriate platform. First of all, our mandate is to look at the Auditor General's report. And in this case, we are looking at Auditor General report 2017. So if you ask any question that is outside that purview, normally it's not allowed. And before you even allow to ask a question, it is up to the leadership of the committee to agree that this is okay, what we normally call public interest question. But you see, we as a committee should not be questioning people who are not before us. Yoko is not before us. GNPC Foundation is not before us. So whom are you asking the question? Unless you want to do political mischief. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. So I think it was not the appropriate place for it, because those people were not before us, and they are not issues raised by the Auditor General. So it was inappropriate. It was simply politicking. And we as a committee try to avoid such things. But we can also, the other side can also do things like that. And I don't think it will then derail the objective of the committee. We are supposed to look at issues impartially, devoid of political, if you like, political strategies and that sort of thing. So the question was not appropriate. It was not for the forum.
But as is Christian, a public interest Christian, shouldn't the public be interested if GNPC is spending up to what, $5 million or so, including money that's going to chiefs and money that's going to local, and demanding answers on that?
Organizations, corporations, ministries spend money for public interest and all that. They spend money in all sorts of things. But the point I'm making is that it is not up to us. You see,
if not the people's representatives, then who? Then who should be asking those questions?
It is not up to
because
us.
Obviously GNPC money is the same.
It's not up to us to judge the wisdom of that thing, unless the people are before us and we are able to ask them questions. Now they are not before us. We have not invited them on that issue. So if you ask that question, who should answer? That is all I'm saying. And we operate within a law set by the Constitution to look at the report of the Auditor General. Were these issues in the report of the Auditor General? It was not. So it was not appropriate. And I'm saying that our optimal objective is to make sure that we do our work without anybody trying to introduce politics into it as well. Because you see, I can tell you, these reports we are looking at are 2016 reports, even though we call it 2017. There are issues that happened in 2016, 2014, and 15. And if you want to do politics, there are many issues that we also can raise. That will be political. But we try to do a professional job, so that is the point.
But finally, as an MP, how can we ensure that the GNPC actually spends resources on the things that are actually necessary and are required, and that they don't do expenditure that will end up raising ideas?
As a public institution, they have a statute. They have what regulates what they should do and what they should not do. So it is up to the Auditor General to go and check and see whether they are doing what they need to do and bring that report to us. Do you understand?
We cannot prejudge. 4 or 5 years, as you are looking at 2016 now, by when the issue may be.
We cannot prejudge. Supposing whatever they have done has received the approval of whoever is supposed to approve, the board or other thing, and that it has gone according to the law. What is our issue? What is our issue? You just throw it in the public domain, and the people may not even are not before us to even explain. So how do you then deal with such an issue? Everything is governed by law and statute, and every organization is governed by law and statute. And if what their statute.
Well, there you have it. How the Public Accounts Committee sitting went today. We're told that there were flared up passions there today as the conversations went on. Joseph Apukugakpo will bring you more in our subsequent bulletins on how it all went down. But as we continue also to fact check some projects captured on government's delivery tracker website, we take you to Kumasi. Some checks there have revealed that a Bibiani Logging Limited project captured in the NPP's 2016 manifesto tracker as completed does not exist. Managers of the over 40-year original Bibiani Logging and Lumber Company Limited located at Kumasi say they've not received any support from the government for any project on their premises. Meanwhile, a UniJ government company listed as completed at Askwa, also in Kumasi, was found to be at the ground stage. Live FM's Erastus Asari Donko has been finding out more.
Listed under Askwa Municipal Assembly on the NPP's 2016 manifesto tracker is the completion of a wood product manufacturing company, Bibiani Logging Limited. We took a trip to the company's premises.
We have gone in there, we've spoken with management, and what we are being told is that there is no such project instituted by government here at the premises. What they tell me is that they put in an application for funds to restructure the company under the 1D, 1F, but then they have not received any response. And so they cannot say government has sponsored any project at all here at the Bibiani Logging Limited. They are surprised that it's captured under the government projects at the Asukwa Municipal. So as we speak, we can confirm that the government project listed under Asukwa Municipal Bibiani Logging Limited completed project does not exist.
Checks at the Asukwa Municipal Assembly showed Bibiani Logging Limited was not part of the list of projects submitted to Accra by the Assembly. Authorities say they do not know the source of the project on the tracker. Meanwhile, it was found that a Unij garment production company listed as completed was progressing from the ground stage. It was also learned that Unij Fashion's existing edifice was used as a requirement in qualifying for a prudential bank loan of 12 million Ghana cedis under the One District, One Factory initiative to complete the current project. Government is assisting with a payment of half of the 20% interest on the loan. Janet Abobigu is Chief Executive Officer for Unij Fashions.
When the government announced that One District, One Factory is coming, that time we also have this land. So we write our proposal to them and they understand us. So we send our proposal to our bank, which is Prudential Bank. So it's Prudential Bank who is financing the project. So the interest, the government is paying 10% and Unij is also paying 10%.
When completed, the two-story edifice is expected to increase employment from the 150 currently to 250. Personnel will be recruited, trained and employed from the locality.
Garment industry is volumes, so you need a place that you get people who can come and work. And if you take like jute factory, brewery and other places, the people who were working there, they did not go, all of them are still in. So Kumasi Metro, like Asukwa Metro, there are a lot of people and the youth too are here. So that is why we built this here.
One major factor that will hinder progress of this government's flagship program 1D, 1F is this road network. In fact, it's the road leading from Ahinsang right through to the other end, but it truncates at the end of that road. It needs to be constructed for business to thrive. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Why don't we go to the Bono East town of Dromoankese, where one of the projects captured on the website as ongoing is non-existent. Residents say there is no such project currently in place, contrary to government claims that an upgrade of a 3.95-kilometer Dromoankese town road is ongoing. They, however, call on government to swiftly construct the roads, which is currently hampering economic activities in the community. Correspondent Anas Sabit was in the Nkuranza North District and came through with this report.
For the past week, we've been tracking some projects government captured on its delivery tracker website as delivered by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And this afternoon, we are here in the Dromoankese community under the Nkuranza North District of the Bono East region. There's this particular road project that was captured, a 3.95-kilometer road project that was indicated as ongoing on the delivery tracker website. So we set off today to find out from ourselves the situation on the ground, and we've been engaging some of the community folks, and this some of the things they've been telling us in relation to the state of the road here in Dromoankese.
Because the machine sequence from here from Doma to Busia.
Honestly, there are no machines currently on the road. We are still working in this dusty environment, and I haven't seen any machine here. I've heard that there is a road construction between Fakwasi and Atibu. Currently, there's no work on the road, but we've heard that the contractor will be here soon to start work. But as it stands, it's not true that work is ongoing here. Some of them tell us they've been seeing some few folks within the community in the past few days taking measurement of the road. So to them, that is the very reason why government might have captured it on its website. So they are optimistic that soon the road will be under construction as stated by government.
3 weeks in
About 3 weeks ago, I saw some officials taking measurements of this road. So we asked and we were told they were going to construct the town roads. But since then, we've not seen them We've seen officials taking measurements and we are optimistic that it will soon be constructed. The current state of the road has several economic disadvantages to the people here who are predominantly farmers. They share with us the effects of the current state of the road to their economic activities. Our major headache is this road. It's terrible. Even when we are to send a patient or a neighbor to the hospital, the person might end up dying on the way.
This is a
farming community, and before our farm produce gets to the market, we end up running a loss. They have a call on government to swiftly respond to this particular road as it connects the regional capital Techiman to the eastern part of the Bono East region. So they believe that once this particular road is constructed, commuting from the eastern part of the region to the regional capital Techiman will be quite easier for the people in this part of the country.
The
road is dear to our house, so we call on the president to direct the road minister to swiftly tell the contractor to be on site within the month because we suffer a lot when it rains. Our Member of Parliament has been up to the task and we call on him to work out this road project for us. From the Dromoankese community here in the Nkranda North District of the Bono East region, I am Anas Sabit for JoyNews.
You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty Ando Apia. Looks like most of you are trying to join us via Zoom, are having a bit of an internet issue there. We're sorting that out. We'll be right back from this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Minister for Roads and Highways, Amakwata, says in 4 weeks, that's 826 road projects would be done in the Volta region. The minister, who was addressing the media at Ho during the president's tour of the region, noted that every region is getting its fair share of the roads construction. According to him, the NPP-led administration met already deplorable roads, that made the president to concentrate on the construction of roads across the country. He also says it is through roads that the nation can open up to development.
Use the national standard because they used to be good and they are considered also to be good. But as vehicles are running on them each day, do we keep up with up-to-date maintenance on them? Because maintenance, if you build a brand new road, maintenance starts the very day you introduce traffic on it. That very day maintenance starts. Because something can happen on the way and on the road. So I just want to give a picture of the critical nature of roads as at January 2017. It's therefore not surprising that the good people of this country, including all of us in this room, were calling on His Excellency the President to fix roads. And the President said it repeatedly, time without number, that anywhere he went, anywhere he had opportunity to meet chiefs to address debtors, anywhere he had opportunity even to attend church service, civil society groups, 2% is fair, 29% poor, you are, to us, and to His Excellency the President. Let us take the 39% represents what is good. We consider the remaining 61% as poor, so that it challenges you to do greater work. Because to us, there is a very, 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 very thin line between poor and fair. The engineers, let's give it to them, because they are using technical lenses. I don't have any lenses, and I'm saying that I don't see any difference between fair and poor. All of them are poor. Even those that we consider good, the 39%. Members of the press, you and I know that we still have a lot of work to do on them. But the remaining 77% of our roofs were either at earth or gravel stage. And there is what we call condition of roads, and condition of road can be categorized into three. Either the road is good, either the road is fair, or the road is poor. And as at that date, only 39% of our roads are considered to be good. 39%, 23% fair, and 29% poor.
Let's get on the ground and talk to Ivy Setoji, our correspondent. Hello, Ivy.
Good afternoon.
Ivy, give us an update of the president's activities in the region.
Okay, so the president earlier called for the Adaklu practices at the water process in Adaklu. Currently, he is in Afadaso, where he's going to commission the Afadaso community, Amajofe community water process here. And so currently the president is here to commission the project. He said earlier that the water project in Adaklu that he has sought for will enable water coverage in the water region, as well as reduce the burden on women and children in searching for water. So today, mostly it's about water and roads. He was earlier at UHAS, where he also cut short for the Sopper Day Adaklu bypass road and UHAS internal road. So basically, today has been for roads and water projects.
What is the president doing at the moment, Ivy?
At this time, he's yet to speak to the chiefs and people of our metropolis, where he is to commission the community water project here in our metropolis. So right now, the regional minister is addressing the gathering, and then after that, the president could also address the gathering. Earlier on, he also spoke on the issue he spoke earlier last week when he visited Angola about the security forces military presence in Kettle South. He said that it's not the great effort attempt to destroy the peace in the water region, that this militiamen have been deployed to all parts of the nation.
Ivy, can you speak up? It's a bit difficult to hear you. Can you speak up a bit on that?
Yeah, so he has been addressing the issue of military presence in the Volta region, assuring the people of the Volta region that government knows very well that Volta region forms an integral part of the nation. So government can do anything, everything is possible to make sure development given to the Volta region, and their license what they have protected. So with the military presence, there is nothing wrong with that. They are only making sure that people don't cause to the region, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. So these are the issues he's been talking about.
Ivy, thank you very much for that update. Now, for many years, people in Bontibo walked along hours, risking encounters with snakes and other reptiles to fetch drinking water. Now, a borehole constructed by Passcode Ghana Limited, producers of cowbell, has become a game changer for a community in desperate need. A report by Justice Bedu.
Forgive Pogli hasn't made this journey in a while. Once upon a time, this was a daily routine. Now the road leading to the stream is bushy. She and her friend Millicent have come here because I've asked them to show me the routes that they walked for years to get water.
We have been seeing some snakes, they said cobra. We have been seeing them there, and the green ones, we have been seeing them also there. So when we go, sometimes they'll be in the water or they are on top of the leaves before we go. And so when we see them, then we run back home. Sometimes if we see it, you yourself can be afraid.
This is Bontibo, the community where Forgive comes from. No electricity, a rundown road network, and no mobile telephony network. This is nothing different from what an average Ghanaian village looks like. It's in the Nkwanta South district in the Oti region.
We've been looking for this for a very long time at Bontibo Junction. It has been their worry, looking for this pipe. Because of the situation, they've not been giving them.
It is the reason why villagers are gathered here to show what the change means to them. In 2019, Passcode Ghana Limited built this borehole here.
Water is also key in that, also providing health, because you have a lot of waterborne diseases that most of our consumers are affected by. If you look at most of the statistics from the public health sector, waterborne diseases are one. Water and foodborne diseases are quite frequent, which leads to diarrhea and even sometimes can be fatal. So water is critical in nutrition and health, and of course it's important for the consumers to enjoy our products. It's quite a tall list. A few to mention: New Ebrim, Freeboy, somewhere in the Ashanti region, in the Laura district, Botibo in Nkwanta South, Bassa in Bilsa South, and Pittinga also in Bilsa South, and a number of other communities, some I cannot recollect off my head. And these are really deprived communities where it was a struggle to get clean potable water for their daily use.
When I started campaigning, the people at Bontibo Junction said I should try to give them borehole. So when I saw them giving them the borehole, I was so happy because it's a dream come true.
In the past, the government have been promising us that they will build a pipe for us, but they didn't do it. So when this man came, he was working a company with cowbell. So when he came and told my grandfather that he will build a pipe, we did not believe him.
As the man came, that he is coming to dig the borehole, we couldn't believe him because many people said it. Even Kapu Akufalo said that he will bring light and the borehole here, but he couldn't. So as the man came, we couldn't believe him.
It was in response to many stories that the company had seen, especially from JoyNews, on many communities across the country that did not have water. Passcode is aiming at building 20 similar boreholes across the country. Like Forgive, the people of Bontibo would now have a different story to tell. They would now drink safe water, thanks in part to the benevolence of a company that has put part of its wealth back into a community in desperate need. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Bontibo.
Now to our one of our headline stories. By the way, we have the Zoom link there for you. Unfortunately, we couldn't allow those of you who joined earlier in, but you can join now and let's have that conversation. But the minority in Parliament is demanding further information about the controversial Ejapa royalties agreement. It wants government to provide answers to questions of opaqueness in the agreement, which it describes as in indecent haste. Addressing a press conference at the NDC headquarters, the minority leader in Parliament, Hayana Idrisu, said the agreement does not meet standards of due diligence and constitutional requirement, and thus the NDC will not respect the agreement if it wins power in 2020.
We want to know, and we demand for and on behalf of the people of Ghana, how the procurement process was done for Africa Legal Associates of Gabi Ochre Daku, the cousin of both President Nana Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta, and the other legal entities that have been named. We demand just a basic minimum information. How were they procured and how much have they been paid, and whether this was done competitively and advertised for the good people of Ghana. Even how the CEO of Ejapa is determined, whether for the public record, we can have any advertised thing in the international competitive bid process to appreciate this. We also want to know the cost of the transaction and how much have been paid to those legal firms. And then, why the choice of a senior minister's son? It didn't go through an international competitive selection process, and you will know that even his selection predated the company as registered in Ghana and predated the completion of his approval from Parliament. So the coincidence can be quite interesting for you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, to probe further. What considerations went into the remuneration of the senior minister's son, Osafu Mafu? We recognize that every Ghanaian is entitled to the benefits of the 1992 Constitution, but the coincidence is fascinating for our purposes. Why is he, together with other board members, guaranteed employment for the foreseeable future, irrespective of their output? You hire and fire. If there are no results, you fire. But this one, we are told that our hands be tied, and it be tied for a longer period of time. Our concerns on conflict of interest, I've just shared one with you. Gabi Ochre Daku law firm advising on this shady Ejapa deal is similar to the objectionable practice of data bank serving as a book runner on government bonds and co-manager of Euro bonds. All these transactions are motivated by fees which are certainly paid upfront, and therefore they say we should not raise questions even when you see these glaring issues of conflict of interest. And by the way, be informed that conflict of interest is at the heart of corruption in the world and in Ghana. It remains a veritable source of it. The selection of Databank Brokerage Limited as book runner means that Databank profits every time the government issues bonds on the domestic market. On the domestic market, while in 2019 alone amounted to about 64 billion. Since 2017, Databank has also been a co-manager of Ghana's Eurobond transactions. These are genuine and legitimate concerns we must raise as a people, minister, and an entity related thereon. We also demand secrecy of information on the company. We want full disclosures. What is the value of the company at the time of its incorporation? We need to know. We are not given information on how they arrive at the value of the company. So tomorrow they can just decide to give it some value to serve their purposes. Cash flow forecast for the duration of the project, for purpose of our assumptions, we do not know. Neither do we have the prospectus for us to know the cost of the transaction. We are reliably informed that they have spent 5 million on this transaction, even though we have had some $2 million as legal fees. If they don't want us to be guessing and hazarding numbers, let them come true, consistent with the requirement of the Public Financial Management Act. What is the cost of this transaction? And therefore are operating with a loan. They've also mortgaged the energy sector levies of President John Dramani Mahama as he then was. You remember ESLA? And that is what they are using even to offset the legacy debt and energy sector. That one too, he has mortgaged. Superior thinking, superior debt management, superior MPP. They've mortgaged the GET fund receivables. They've mortgaged ESLA, and they have mortgaged the road fund even further from what they took it from the NDC government previous. So it is our submission that the assets are grossly undervalued for current valuation. The weight of our gold revenue and their projection need a further thorough probe by independent economic transaction advisors for us to appreciate that they are not ripping this country off. According to the government, the total royalties from the concession is about 150 million per annum. So they have enhanced my $115 million US to 150 by their own public record. Ajapa is assigned 75.6% of this amount. That is over $113 million per annum. The deal is structured such that it can run into perpetuity. And those of you who are students of law, there's a popular law position on this, a rule against perpetuity. You don't do things and say forever and evermore. As for forever and evermore, it's only God.
Also speaking at the press conference, Minorities Ranking Member on the Finance Committee, Kese Latoforsen, discounted the defense of the Deputy Finance Minister on the prevention of double taxation on earnings from that agreement. He says Ghana has a double taxation agreement with the UK, which will prevent the incidence of double taxation anyway.
I was at a loss when I heard the Deputy Minister, the Honourable Charles Edubuahin, make a statement that the reason why government decided to incorporate a JAPA at JZ is because of the avoidance of double taxation. I want to put on record that that cannot be true, and that can never be the case, because clearly Ghana has a double tax agreement with the United Kingdom, UK. And as such, if government of Ghana decided to have listed in mainland England or anywhere in the United Kingdom, other than the tax haven, the Virgin Island, or Channel Island, the same tax exemption rules would have applied because of the tax double tax agreement that Ghana government has with the United Kingdom, dating back maybe 20 to 40 years ago. It's something that we have in place. But let me say that there are reasons why people list or incorporate in tax havens. One of such reasons include the fact that it is an area where there is very little corporate governance, and areas of transparency is something that people can take advantage of. Clearly, this administration is trying to hide beneficial owners of a JAPA and people that are idly going to be the shareholders, and that is what has motivated them to list at the to actually incorporate at JZ in the Channel Island. So that may be the case, and clearly the minority does state it because they mention of the fact that why can we say that we will not respect the agreement, and all of a sudden come back and say that we demand periodic reports on the offshore entity EJAPA. Let me say again that at the time of the debate, before we came to this position, in fact at the committee level, that is when we demanded that we want the government to incorporate in the agreement that periodic reviews or periodic documents be sent to the Sovereign Parliament of Ghana for us to at least have an oversight on what is going on in the cooperation agreement. Unfortunately, this government vehemently opposed and voted against our presentation. So it doesn't mean that we are still going by that understanding. Our understanding is simple, we are not going to respect the rules. And then I heard TV3 make a statement. And let me point you to what the minority leader said on the issue relating to the London Stock Exchange. I think it's here. He made a clear point. And let me, for emphasis, make this point. He said, we will, after today's press conference, put the London Stock Exchange and the Financial Conduct Authority on notice that this agreement does not meet the required due diligence and transparency. And a substantial level of conflict of interest runs through the structuring of the agreement. Indeed, this agreement is therefore tainted with some corrupt acts.
So you know exactly what we're going to talk about, the National Science and Maths quiz. In the meantime, we're still hoping that we'll still be able to make some time to have that conversation with parents and teachers. Now, the 2020 National Science and Maths quiz is here again. The London balloting is just some minutes underway. A total of 108 schools will be pitched against one another in the preliminary stage for a slot at the next round of the contest. 2013 NSMQ winners St. Thomas Aquinas Evans School and two-time champions Infantipim School will for the first time begin the campaign from the prelims. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, the prelims will be held at the various regions, and that means the format for this stage has changed. Joining me in studio to help us have a better understanding of how the NSMQ preliminary stage will happen is my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. Maxwell Agbagba will first tell us what the format for the preliminary stage COVID-19 before COVID-19 and what has changed. Maxwell, let's go a bit, down memory lane. So take it away.
Well, 2019, it was electrified. It was breathtaking. We witnessed all of that. Myself and then Emma Finance Jadosi, we sat through all the contest at the University of Ghana Business School, and then the grand finale was later at the Accra International Conference Center. I mean, at the National Theatre. Great event, wonderful event. At the end of the day, St. Augustine's College, they were crowned, 2019 winners of that competition. And we know that one name that we cannot forget when it comes to the 2019 National Science and Maths quiz is Newton. Jimmy, Stephen Newton, super sub, for St. Augustine's College. Anytime he came on, he was coming on, you would hear, the crowd, the audience screaming, Newton, Newton, Newton. He came on and he did wonders. In fact, in 2019 also, we saw what many described as the finals before the finals. So there was a contest between St. Augustine's College, Infantipim School, and then Swedru Senior High School. At the end of the day, Infantipim School, they were kicked out at the last, I think it was the 1/8 competition, the last competition they were kicked out. But let's have an idea. Let's go to 2019. Let's see what it was like in the year 2019. Okay.
As I'm concerned, you are all champions. In my books, you are all champions. But I have to make some distinctions. St. Peter's Senior High School, you've done very well. Congratulations. But today was tough. The Egyptians were too strong. Never mind. You have earned 1,500 Ghana cedis from the GCB Bank Money Zone. Congratulations, third place. Prisek Legon, congratulations to you as well. You've done very well. You've done well. The opposition was great. Nonetheless, you have earned 2,040 Ghana cedis in the GCB Bank Money Zone. Well done. Congratulations once again, second place. Augustines College. Congratulations on winning the contest. You did it. You have earned 2,340 Ghana cedis from GCB Bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new trophy for the National Science and Maths Quiz is going to St. Augustine Senior High School.
So that's what happened last year, Maxwell. This year is going to be different. COVID-19 has made the phrase "we're not in normal times" a cliche. Tell us what to expect. What is changing this year?
Well, in 2019 and in previous years, what usually happens is that you have seeded schools. So the seeded schools will come in during the elimination stages of the competition, but then there'll be the preliminary.
Help us understand the concept of the seeded schools. So these are schools that don't need to go through the preliminaries.
Exactly. These are schools that do not require to go through the elimination because I mean they went past the the elimination stages. They went past the 1/8 stage, I should say, and then progressed in the competition.
So let's go ahead with
that. So we have seeded schools, and then we have schools that made it from the regions. All of them coming together at the University of Ghana and then taking part, in the competition. But this time around, what is going to happen is that the preliminary round of the competition for the national competition will be happening, in the regions. So we're happening in some zones and then regions. So let me just take you through this. This is the preliminary stage. And then on 8th September, we have the competition taking place for the Greater Accra region. On 10th September, it's going to be the Western Zone. 11th September is going to be the Central region. 10th and 11th September will be the Northern Zone. 14th and 15th September will be the Eastern region. And then 14th and 15th September will be in the Bono Ahafo Zone. And then 17th and 18th September will be in the Shanti region. And then 17th and 18th September will be the Volta OT zone. So what is going to happen is that the prelims will be taking place in these regions or in these zones. The winners from the 40 contests will then move and then come to Accra for the 1/8 stage, of the competition. So the winners from the 40 contests and then the first runner-ups, 14 first runner-ups will be joining the 40 winners, and then the 27 seeded schools, and all of them will be coming together to take part in the main, competition. That will be progressing from the other stage that I talked about earlier to the next stage of the competition.
And you will be right there on the ground to give us all the details as and when it happens.
Exactly.
Will certainly be coming to us. So, Ahmed, I understand that there is, you need to take us through the balloting.
Yeah, so we have Port A, Port B, Port C, and those in Port A are those who obtained higher scores during the regional competition. So all those in Port A obtained higher scores. Port B, they obtained middle scores, I would say, and then Port C, they obtained lower scores. So what will be happening is that today's balloting that will be taking place. There'll be one school from Port A, second school
Tema
from Port
Methodist
B,
Senior High School, Ganata, St. Margaret's, Mary.
Exactly. So Port A, Tema Methodist Senior High School, Ganata SHS, and the 9 schools St. Margaret Barry Senior High School in Port A. Of course, meaning they qualified with very high scores. And then Port B, middle scores, St. Thomas Aquinas Senior High School, Evans Spencer School, Holy Trinity Cathedral, West Africa SHS, MFA Jadosi School. Then Port C, we have St. Mary's SHS, Our Lady of Mercy SHS. It continues like that. And then in the Ashanti region, Anglican SHS Kumasi. This is a school to watch out for. CAS, great wonders they've been doing, in that region. Last year we saw them, and we know that definitely this year they're going to cause, some great upset. So Adventist SHS, it goes on and on. Port B, Port C. So this is for the Greater Accra region, Ashanti region, and then we can move to the other regions and see what we have for the other regions. Central region, Infantipim School. Yes, Infantipim School.
That's Kwesichum School.
Yes, that's Kwesichum. My boss's school, so I will not say much about Infantipim. Infantipim School, but we know that in the 2019 competition, that was last year's competition, they got kicked out at the 1/8 stage by St. Augustine's College, and we witnessed that. It was fun. Ghana National College, Winneba SHS, Swidro SHS, Port B, Assistant College, Agri Memorial, Zion SHS, Apam SHS, and Port C. Surprisingly, we have Holy Child School in Port C. Iguafe Brim SHS, TMR Sporting in there. And then we have the Western Zone, Archbishop Porter Girls SHS, Ensign SHS, Takwa SHS, Port A, Port B. We have St. Mary's Boys, Ahantaman Girls SHS, Bompe SHS, SHTS, and then Port C, Bia SHTS, and then Bibiani SHTS for the Western Zone. Let's check out, I think the last zone.
The last zone, okay, there you have it.
We have the Eastern Region, Koforidua Sectec SHS in Port A, Ofuripenian SHS, Asamankesi SHS, Osino Presby SHTS, St. Martin's SHS, Akumwan SHS. And then Port B, Presby SHS, Abetifi, Ebri Presby SHTS, Benkum SHS, Adontin SHS, Presby SHTS. And then Port C, Oyoko, okay. Methodist SHS. Ebri Girls has been replaced with St. Rose's. Okay. And then we have Buakwa State College, WBM Zion SHS, in Kwetia Presby SHS. And then Volta Region, Volta Zone.
That's the final.
Yeah, that's the final. But here we have Bishop Herman College. One of our bosses, Elvis Kwashi School. We have Maulis School, Ola SHS, MFA School, Sigan Kofe SHS, and Mary's Seminary SHS Lulubi, and then Sunrise, remember Sunrise from last 2 years. Port B, Zion College, Chito SHTS, Angmo SHS, KJB Asato SHS, Vakbo SHS. And then Port C, Georgia Penny SHS, Akachi SHS, OT SHS, Bueman SHS, and then Adidome SHS. So the balloting will be happening this evening, 5:30 p.m. at the launch. We'll be waiting to see which of these schools will be paired, which of them will be winning the first runner-ups. They would make it to the next stage of the competition.
Thank you, Maxwell. Maxwell Agbagba there, he'll be on the ground to bring us more of that when it happens. But just before we go on a break for sports, DBS, after several years of intensive research, DBS Industries Limited brings you ColorLink Plus roofing sheets to help complement your dream house in style. Visit DBS Industries Limited in Accra on the Spintex Road in the DBS building near Papaye Restaurant. You can call them on 0543 286 637 and visit our factories in Kumasi, Tamale and Takrady. Also, Bryce Senior High School, our world is a complex one, and in it, only the smart and intelligent win. At Bryce Senior High School, Kukwentumi, we know this, and the reason we've deployed state-of-the-art facilities and highly qualified teachers to train and groom the next generation of candidates for our universities and the future. Students are engaged within well-equipped classrooms, computer science and laboratories. That's not all. We've got facilities to ensure quality recreation. So you're called upon to make inquiries on 027 7147 727 0242 071 185. Forms are available at GC Bank and Zenith Bank branches across the country. Gary L. Smith has sports next.
And Maxwell for giving us a rundown. There will be the launch later in about an hour and some coins. But right now, speaking of coins, the Ghana Football Association 26th Ordinary Congress featured a lot of coins for the administration of the football governing body. It was held in Pram Pram today, and as you know, we've been building up to it the whole of last week. And indeed, some of the scoops we got you from last week were ratified, including the very interesting issue of the fact that the GFA president and some of the executive committee members' allowances, that's a fancy way of saying their salaries anyway, will be increased by up to about 300%. Yes, 300%. Now, during this era of COVID, you might have thought that that idea would not have come up, which is why I will speak to my colleague, Seydou Adamu, momentarily. But first of all, let's look at the slide. If you go to our Instagram, Joy Sports GH, this is the summary of the decisions taken today. So first of all, by a majority decision, Congress appointed Baker Tilly Under as the association's auditors for a period of 3 years. You might recall that in our previous reports, we mentioned that KPMG and others were in the running, but this organization were chosen. Proposal of amendment to the standing orders of Congress were also approved today. Also, Congress unanimously ratified the basically the last year's budget was also ratified, and Congress by a majority decision approved the proposal, you know, to have the allowances and incentives for the president, the vice president, and the executive council all approved, done as well. And finally, they also approved the work program and budget for the next financial year. So in summary, this is it. Now, this is the big one that everybody is talking about. The GFA president will now take a monthly allowance of 12,000 cedis a month. The vice president will take 7,000 cedis a month. The EXCO members will take 4,000 cedis a month. And all these were approved today. All right, time for analysis then. Seydou Adamu is my colleague in the industry, and he likes to follow these issues critically as well. Seydou, thank you very much for joining us on The Pulse. Seydou, you would have to unmute, please, quickly.
Yes, thank you for having me, Gary.
Okay, great. So, I mean, the big news was about the monies, you know, that were ratified. Could you explain, for the benefit of those who are watching, why the GFA and the EXCO would, at a time like this when everybody is saying that there is no money in the system, agree to pay themselves every month to the tune of about 300% more than was previously given?
Yes, I will try and do the summary and also bring the issues down. Well, if you do recall, in about a month ago, the Football Association, acting on Article 42 of their own statute, appointed a 3-man ad hoc compensation committee to look into the compensation for the GFA executive committee members and the president. And so this committee took into consideration the previous allowances that were given to the previous executive committee and also what were given to the normalization committee. So they in coming to an agreement, felt that they need to raise the allowances of this very executive committee and also do away with one of the most famous payments that has been given to the executive committee members, which is the ex gratia. According to them, and also according to the analysis we had at Congress today, they believe that the position of the executive council and so the position of the Football Association president is so high to the extent that you have to compensate those who work in these areas to commensurate with the sort of work they do.
Sure.
So this is the analysis that the protagonists of these allowances brought out. Despite the fact that the likes of Alhaji Grusa, the likes of Isaac Kumsin, the likes of Lawyer Labi Amua spoke against it because they feel that the Football Association do not have that money to be able to pay to these men. I mean, Congress unanimously voted for it. Now, what we have to take into consideration is the fact that the Football Association is raising 71 million Ghana cedis and spending all. It means that the Football Association is not going to have any plan for investment. They have no money for investment. They have no money to keep the costs. They are using majority of this money to go into compensation, of the executive committee, the president, and also other committees. So there are lots of questions that some of us have raised in terms of how much the FA is going to make in terms of being able to put in place a legacy project like pitches, like office centers,
and other things that we need for development, basically. All right, Seydou, because of a lack of time, we would have to leave it here. But you have given us I don't want to say cogent reason because, you know, I'm not an analyst, I'm the host here as well. You'll be on Fan Zone with us later today, and he's going to explain more of the things that happened in Pram Pram today. So there you have it, really. The GFA have argued that with the importance of the job that they'll be doing for Ghana and its football, paying 12,000 cedis a month to the GFA president, it's important so that, you know, doesn't get it from elsewhere. I'm Gary L. Smith, that's the sport for now. You can trust that the discussion will continue.
I need to apologize to you. So most of you that joined, we're having a bit of a challenge with allowing you into the Zoom conversation. We're unable to do it today. Hopefully we can bring that up tomorrow. So we have that discussion, bringing you the parents and teachers to have your voices heard. Right now, though, that's it for me. We've run out of time. There is more news at myjoyonline.com if you do log on. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that it's been good for you today. My name is Gifty and Apia. I'll be here again tomorrow, God willing, and I want to see you.